Welcome back to the Women of Wrestling podcast. We are still delivering content to you. This is our third show in quick succession. I'm Stu Allen. I'm here alongside Lee Burton.
Rapid fire Women of Wrestling podcast here.
Yeah, we've almost doubled our entire output in the space of about a week and a half, which is quite scary. But we've got more to come. We've got another 3 shows that we've got planned within the next couple of weeks. We'll let you know. You'll find those whenever they come to you. Again, I will recommend, if you haven't already and you do use iTunes, subscribe to us via iTunes. That means you won't miss any shows, because I say they do come quite quickly, and there's always lots of news on Diva Dirt as well. So just to make sure you don't miss any of the shows, if you can hit that subscribe button, please do.
And while you're at it, go to the Women of Wrestling page on Facebook, where we're always updating that with what we're up to and asking you stuff and asking your opinions. So, this is as much your show as it is ours. So, yeah, let us know what you think.
And one thing we tend to forget to do on the show is actually remind you that you can do feedback to us via our office email, wowhosts@gmail.com. So
like we have an office.
Yeah, exactly. But it's our corporate email address. If you want to send us any email, you can send us some email to that address, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
Or whenever we check it. It did go about 2 months when we didn't check it at one point.
Yeah, but it went at least 2 months between shows before. At least at the minute when we keep doing shows, we've got reason to check these things.
Fair point, Sherlock.
But there is lots of news going on, not least of which we got to play a little song to say that Layla, our little English muffin, is the new WWE Women's Champion.
Please never call her an English muffin again.
That's Matt Strykerism. You gotta love Matt Stryker.
Really? Do you have to?
No, you don't. But she is the champion. It was a bit of a controversy last week as to whether it was going to be her or Michelle McCool, but it turns
Mass
out
confusion might be one of the better ways to describe it.
It turns out that Layla is in fact your women's champion. So, hey, look, I'm a Beth Phoenix fan. I'm really sad that she's injured, and I wish her all the best with her recovery. Hope she's back very, very soon. But if she had to drop the belt, it's nice that Layla's got a bit of appreciation for the great job that she's done of, making Lay Cool a particularly awesome little team.
She is solely the reason why Lay Cool is an entertaining team.
Well, along with Vicky Guerrero.
This is true, but she sort of like flicks in and flicks out. But as far as Layla's concerned, she has been just epic since she started getting this push. She's been fantastic.
She's shown some really good comedy timing as well. I mean, and that's just one of those things that's difficult to find somebody that's a good performer like that. You can see a bunch of girls, a bunch of guys as well, that just aren't comfortable in front of people. She's very comfortable in front of people and very, very happy and willing to make herself look like a fool if she needs to.
See, that's why I don't buy Michelle McCool. I always get the feeling like she is just sort of acting out the role of being a wrestler, or acting out the role of being the bitch, or acting out the role of being an entertainer. I never fully buy into what she's saying and what she's doing. I don't know, I just get the feeling that she's not really the perfect spearhead for that division. I know she's probably the best wrestler out of all of them, but, is that really saying much?
Yeah, she's technically fine. But yeah, you're right. We've discussed this before. It's just as well that they have Vicky Guerrero associated with Lay Cool and Layla as well, but Vicky especially, who's without a doubt the most nuclear heat getter of the women on the WWE roster.
Oh, Michelle does the hardest, or the best job, I should say, of just sucking all of that heat away. It's like, Vicky Guerrero comes out, introduces Michelle McCool, that music kicks in, and the entire crowd just dies.
Yes. I've no idea though where they're going to go with Layla as far as her championship reign is concerned. It may be one of those short reigns, but at the same time, with Beth out on the babyface side, there's a bit of a dearth of talent on the SmackDown side. We got Tiffany and Kelly. Kelly really is the only potential challengers at the moment.
Well, you're not giving either of those title reigns anytime soon. I'm thinking there's 3 options.
Go on, then.
One, you move Gail Kim to SmackDown now.
Right.
2, you have a sort of like a whole bunch of Lay Cool versus Tiffany and Kelly matches, which don't really go anywhere and aren't really that good, and have a holding pattern until Melina comes back. You move her to SmackDown.
Right.
Or 3, you have McCool and Layla implode.
Yes. That's a possibility, and then
because you could see when they were holding the title, and you could see like Michelle was holding half of it, and Layla was holding half of it. And it's all happy and nicey now.
Not for long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a possibility, because if you do that, then you turn Layla babyface, almost certainly.
I'd be so disappointed if that happened.
Makes her the new top babyface in the division, and then if you want to have someone for Michelle to team with, well, you've only got the best wrestler on the SmackDown division, and that's Serena Deeb, who hasn't even set foot in a wrestling ring as a competitor yet on SmackDown.
Yeah, I know we haven't factored her in as a wrestling thing, but that's just because she hasn't wrestled yet, and quite frankly, she's on the heel side, so they're not exactly short of heel wrestlers who can carry the can, really.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to move Serena into a wrestling role, that's fine, but she's going to have to be a heel. So perhaps if we do see the implosion of Lay Cool, we do get a babyface champion in Layla. So,
having said that, you have got the Hart dynasty, or dynasty, depending on what side of the Atlantic that you're from, who are eligible to go across any roster that they like. So I don't see any reason why they can't sort of fudge the rules and say Natalya can't do the same thing as well.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's another option. I mean, she was someone who was on SmackDown for the entire last year with the Hart Dynasty, and wrestled half a dozen
3 matches?
Yeah, exactly.
I can only think of about 3.
Yeah, she should have wrestled a lot more. Again, there's somebody who's without a doubt one of the most talented wrestlers on their books, and she's not getting used either. It's kind of funny, isn't it? You've got Serena and you've got Natty Neidhart, and neither of them are actually really being used as active wrestlers.
It's almost like WWE wants them to start from scratch so they can, essentially take a lump of clay and mold it to the way that they want, as opposed to having somebody who's been in a coal-fired kiln for a while and they have to sort of smash them to bits and start again.
It's an interesting option anyway. Over on the other side of the coin, as far as the national promotions in America are concerned, we've got Madison Rayne, who's still the champion in TNA after the events of Sacrifice. I'm actually surprised for one. As we came close to the weekend, I became more and more convinced in my head that they were going to have Tara go over on Madison, win the Knockouts title, because Tara, her contract does not expire until, I think, this Friday, so she theoretically had got Impact tapings on Monday and Tuesday if she was going to then drop the belt off to somebody else.
I think they're doing 4 tapings this week.
Is it?
Yeah. So it was very conceivable that they could legitimately have had Tara as Knockouts champion for a month of TV.
Well, in that case, that's even more surprising. But to me, I sort of thought, well, here's Madison, who's the champion and hasn't yet, up until Sacrifice, picked up a singles win.
We have tried to think about this. We've racked our brains.
Champion of the division, and finally won her first singles match against Tara on the way out. And I just thought for certain they were going to give Tara the win on the way out. Just to
well, it looked that way, though, didn't it?
It's a Vince Russo thing. I mean, I know it makes no sense, but that's what Vince Russo does. And I'm actually going to applaud TNA for not just doing that for the sake of doing it. Maybe the new swerve is not to swerve.
I looked at that, and like you, I thought, there's no way that Madison's winning this. She's never won a singles match, even though she's a Knockouts champ. And Tara went over Taylor Wilde and Sarita in about, 5 minutes in total when on Impact last week. And you're thinking, all right, you've got an outgoing woman who's just beaten 2 women who are staying in very quick succession, and you're not going to job her at the pay-per-view, are you?
Well, they did.
It sucks to be Sarita and Taylor then.
Yeah, it's awful booking on Impact this past week. Going over on one's fair enough because you've got to build up Tara for the title challenge, but going over both was just inexcusable, especially since they ended up having Tara lose anyway.
Yeah, and don't get me started on the fact that it was a heel versus heel match, and the fact that I've read somewhere that they're planning on pushing Sarita as one of the new baby faces of the division. If that's the case, why did you have her lose in less than 2 minutes to somebody who's not going to be there in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I think we've discussed many times. They don't know what they're doing.
TNA, where logic comes to die.
Yeah, I really don't know what Vince Russo has to do to be fired. I can only imagine he's got some sort of blackmail that he's using against somebody, because
he's got naked pictures of God.
I'm surprised that by this point he hasn't been used as a scapegoat
with a dog
and gotten rid of,
and a goat.
Okay, enough. But no,
and lubricant.
I'm gonna say, well done to whoever made the call to just put Madison over clean in a fair match. I haven't seen the match yet. I understand it wasn't the greatest match, but by putting Madison over clean, you establish her as an actual legitimate champion. You give the belt more credibility. so that whenever Madison then defends that belt again, she means something and she's not just a joke. So I'm going to give TNA a little bit of credit for that, for whoever came up with that idea.
I have to take away a little bit of that credit to TNA because you said you haven't seen the match yet, and if you're not watching it, maybe on a download, God forbid you should use torrents because we frown upon that. But if you are actually going to wait and you're British and you want to see this pay-per-view, because we do get to see it for free, but we might not get to see it until next week, which is going to be after the post-sacrifice Impact.
Great job there, Dixie Carter, with that TV deal for the pay-per-views on Extreme Sports.
I can't believe it.
Well, speaking of TV, it's not really TV, but WSU debuted their new online TV show this past week. You can see that actually at divadirt.com. If you want to go across there, scroll down a little bit, you'll see it. What it is, it's a fairly short little personality piece all about Mercedes Martinez, who's one of their top stars. She is probably the top star of the WSU division. Really, really nicely put together, really well done. By the end of it, I was like, yeah, that was good. That was an effective piece of build-up for what will be one of their big matches coming up. And I know they've done some more build-up for that this past weekend.
Yeah, well, if we go back just to the video package, you've seen Wrestlicious' sort of biography bits where they just show a woman doing something with a music video over the top in slow motion and a soft focus and then cut to a match. This was the complete opposite of that. It actually gave you a bit of an insight as to who Mercedes is and to what she stands for and to what she believes in, and I thought it was really good. I got a real nice insight into Mercedes, which is exactly what you want. You want to come out of it feeling like you've gained something. That's hopefully what we try to do with these podcasts as well.
Yeah, exactly. And WSU have got a big match coming up. It's what they're presenting as their icon versus icon match between her and Alicia. My
first thought about that icon versus icon tagline was that sounds silly, but the more I think about it, the more it sort of makes sense because they are the two women who have sort of dominated the top of WSU pretty much since it began, I suppose.
Yeah, so as far as they're concerned, within the WSU universe, it is icon versus icon. And, call it what you want. It's a match that they're building up, and they're doing it really, really well. You were telling me about a tag team match that happened this past week as well.
Yeah, it was a WSU sanctioned match on a different show. I can't remember the name of the promotion. ICW, that was it, in somewhere in New York State. And it was Mercedes and Alicia teaming up against Brittany Savage and Velvet Sky. And the finish, well, this is all to build up for the main show on June 26th, but the finish had Alicia being poked in the eye, I think it was, or had some kind of vision impairment, and delivered a Michinoku driver to Mercedes, who then got pinned. And so they lost the match. And so in retaliation, I believe it was Mercedes hitting Alicia with the Fisherman Buster. And then there was some great promos, which were just cut on an iPhone in the back and then posted up on Facebook. Now, I haven't seen the match, but I know just from these promos what happened, the fallout from it. I know, when their match between Alicia and Mercedes is. I know that it means a lot. I know it's for the WSU title. Two great little promos. 90 seconds long. Does the job. I want to see this match.
Yeah. And that's the stupid thing about it is WSU are doing a far better job on building up a match and a date on a show that you want to see, than pretty much any of the big promotions are.
I guess it just shows, sometimes, I guess when it comes to the big promotions, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. But these guys are very focused as to what they're doing, where they're going. They have a card all set out. They have the matches announced, and you're going to see some interesting matches. I know there's one you definitely want to see.
Yeah, there is one, and it involves the person that we've got coming up on the show tonight, and that's going to be Amazing Kong. You know that already. If you've downloaded the podcast, you know who the guest is going to be. She's going to take on Rain, and this is going to be on June 26th. And I watched the promo for this, and I thought, wow, I really want to see that match. It's a combination of two wrestlers that I like, and it's an interesting combination because the match could be, it's an interesting clash of styles. I mean, I just want to see how this match happens. And I saw that promo once, and from that point onwards, I remember the fact that Amazing Kong is fighting Rain, WSU, June 26th.
What more do you need to know?
That's a more effective piece of advertising that I've come across in wrestling for quite some time.
Just in case you're interested, it's at the ACE Arena in Union City, New Jersey.
Yeah, so if you're in New Jersey, please go check that out.
And then tell us what it was like.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Kong and Rain, and certainly can't wait to see Alicia and Mercedes Martinez as well. So yeah, good job, WSU.
Well done.
Yeah, a couple of other bits of news before we move on, and that's a couple of indie stars who are on the radar of the Big Two. And we've talked about some of the problems that the Big Two have got over the last few minutes in this podcast, but they're both still looking out for new talent. Apparently, TNA have noticed Raina Von Tash.
How can't you?
And that's not a difficult thing to do if you've ever seen Raina Von Tash. She's impossibly gorgeous. And
this is how we've described her. She is impossible. To acknowledge her existence is to make her out that she's human, and she's not.
She's clearly not. But she's come across TNA's radar, and TNA are interested. She's the first graduate of the Shimmer Wrestling Academy, trainee of Daisy Hayes, so you know that technically she's going to be absolutely top-notch. We've seen her wrestle in Shimmer on the last tapings as well. Really good, lots of potential there. You can see why they'd be interested. My only concern is that if she goes to TNA, she's going to be put on television immediately, exposed for the fact that she's, only a rookie, and could end up harming her career long term as far as that's concerned. I'm not one to give advice to Raina. I'm sure she's not listening to the show. If she is, hello.
Hello.
But I would like to see her come on the show. I would like to see her hold out, wait and see if WWE have got any interest, head off to developmental for a little while, get used to working the WWE style, get used to working regularly, and then when you come up, you can actually be a star. And I think, of a lot of the girls on the Shimmer roster, we've discussed, people who've got potential to make it in WWE or TNA. Raina is one of them. She's got a superstar potential as far as that's concerned. And, hey, if she wants to go make some cash in TNA, I'm fine with that. I just think long term she might look better at trying to see if she can get into WWE.
I couldn't agree with you more, because I guess the feeling that with TNA is, yes, you can go on there, yes, you can get some exposure straight away, and yes, she has a ready-made gimmick that's all set to go, and TNA probably won't screw around with it too much, because they just won't have the time. They'll want to get her on TV straight away. On the flip side, there's a possibility that she might be exposed, or she might be booked badly. People get the impression that she's maybe a bit of a loser, possibly. I am thinking worst case scenario here. It might be they take her in and push her to the moon. Yeah. But, there's always the option that they'll take her in and, she'll just be maybe a job girl for the beautiful people, perhaps. Even though she's more beautiful than all of them.
As far as WWE are concerned, there was an interesting story came out last week. A rumor came out that WWE had signed up Jennifer Blake, Girl Dynamite, and also had signed up Cherry Bomb. Now, Jennifer Blake came on her Twitter, I believe, and basically said, "Look, it's not true. Don't believe everything you read." And it was believed that whoever came up with this news bite had essentially just made it up. Now, the really coincidental bit about it is there's actually a story now today saying that at tonight's Raw tapings, because we're taping this on Monday, tonight's Raw tapings, Cherry Bomb is going to get a dark match tryout as far as she's concerned. So I'm not sure why there's such a coincidence to made up stories last week and real life stories this week, but from what we understand, Cherry Bomb could be on WWE's radar.
I have no problem with that. I mean, we saw Cherry Bomb at Shimmer doing the sort of non-televised Sparkle matches beforehand, and I quite liked her.
Yeah. We saw her, what was it, one time?
Maybe twice.
But yeah, she's got talent to be even invited to come and try out in the Sparkles. So yeah, it's a possibility there as well. And much like I was explaining with Raina, if Cherry Bomb gets signed, assuming they don't want to put her straight on TV,
which is doubtful,
they can send her down to developmental. And I would have a lot more faith in her to make something of her career long term than maybe some of the other girls that they've been known to sign in the past.
Yeah, I guess, as far as that's concerned, sometimes you just have to play the long game. And I know it's frustrating. And I know you want to sort of get things going straight away. But, if you play the long game, you could end up like Serena.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's somebody who worked tirelessly towards her dream of going to WWE, did whatever it had to be done to do that. And, look at her now.
Yeah, so I think she's almost like the poster child of what to aspire for if you're actually a wrestler. and you want to get into WWE, that's the way to do it. Just be very open to suggestion, and take the direction as well, and take your time, and your time hopefully will come.
Absolutely. So,
and if it does, you're still into development for a while, so you've still learned a lot of stuff anyway.
Absolutely. So, good luck to Cherry Bomb if it is in fact true and she is getting a try it tonight, which is what the rumor is. I'm sure if anything good or anything bad comes from that, you can find out from checking out the news on Diva Dirt. Now, do you want to go on and talk about PWWA?
Well, we can briefly talk about it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as far as PWWA is concerned, if you're not clued up as to what PWWA is, it's the Australian women's wrestling division. So if you've heard of us talking about people like Madison Eagles, who's the current Shimmer champion, if you've heard us talking about Jessie McKay, Tenille, Kelly Skater, this is pretty much one of their home promotions, and they've just brought out a DVD. Entitled PWWA Women's Collection Volume 1. It's available at pwaaustralia.com if you're interested. I bought this when we were at the Shimmer tapings last time, and it says on the front, featuring Jessie McKay. And by featuring, I mean she's in pretty much most of the matches. Now, I have no problem with this because it's quite interesting to watch her doing a whole heel shtick as being the precious bitch heel, and it's a lot different to what you'd see on maybe the Shimmer DVDs, for example. As far as you're concerned, you've got to go into this knowing that it's not going to be stuff that's maybe comparable to what they do now. For example, if you like Stephen from Diva Dirt or like us, and you went to the last Shimmer taping and she was like tearing it up, that's not what you're going to see here because she's still quite new. So you got to sort of what's the opposite of extrapolate?
Intrapolate.
Maybe. Whatever it is, you've got to imagine that, she's still new-ish as far as her career is concerned. So you're not going to see huge amounts of awesome stuff. I mean, it's still good wrestling, don't get me wrong. And I think it's still worth a buy. And I think, you really should take a look at it, especially if you want to see what's going on the other side of the world. Because you can also see, some of the other names which haven't come to Shimmer, but, are still worth a look at. You've got people like, Savannah Summers, Shazza McKenzie, Sway, and then you've also got a match with Sarah Del Rey on there as well. So I think it's worth a purchase. I think you should take a look at it, especially if you want to see what other women's wrestling is out there, because there's, let's remember, there's more to life than 3-minute matches on TNA and WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you've seen the whole DVD. I have not yet seen the whole DVD, so I'm at a disadvantage as far as that's concerned. But I have checked out the first match, and the first match on the DVD is Jessie McKay versus Kelly Skater. And now, those are two girls who have made their way to Shimmer. We've seen them wrestle in Shimmer, in fact, as well, with Jessie as the babyface and Kelly Skater as the Red Tank, the heel. And it's the complete opposite. It's, as you say, it's Jessie McKay with her precious bitch heel routine, and it's Kelly Skater as the blue-eyed babyface with full of babyface fire and moves. And I don't know, I quite like that.
I like the fact that it was a little bit different. It's almost like, looking into the Looking Glass, and I think it's quite a nice way of looking at it. If you're thinking about sort of flipping on the other side of the tracks as well, I know that PWWA has got a show coming up. I believe it's next month, which is a tournament, and at some point there's a possibility that former Pink Ladies teammates Madison Eagles and Jessie McKay are going to clash. Because Madison Eagles over there is a babyface, and he's looking to smash the shit out of Jessie McKay. So that was going to be quite interesting to watch, seeing as McKay's got too big for her boots as far as being the champ is concerned.
Yeah, so that's coming up July 5th.
Is it July?
In Liverpool, New South Wales.
Yeah, you can check all that out on pwaaustralia.com.
Yep, a couple other dates for your diary next month if you're in position to check out either of them. June 5th in Montreal. Got Femme Fatale number 3. It's going to be taping up there. And June 27th down in Texas, in Live Oak, you got ACW, Anarchy Championship Wrestling, where they're going to do another tournament down there as well. So,
is it the Queen of Queens?
Yep, it's the American Joshi Queen of Queens tournament number 2.
Awesome.
There's a DVD of the first one out. Check that out. By all means, there's plenty of talent on there. I'll give you the rundown actually as well as far as the Queen of Queens tournament is concerned this year. The 8 competitors.
Please do.
The 8 competitors in the tournament so far. Number 1, Sarah Del Rey.
This is already buys.
Number 2, Athena.
I don't know Athena.
I've seen her once or twice.
I've heard she's good.
But I don't know an awful lot about her. Number 3, Nicole Matthews.
This is great.
She is awesome. Number 4, Portia Perez.
This is doubly great.
Number 5, Daisy Hayes.
Please keep going.
Number 6, Rachel Summerlin. Number 7, Mischief. And number 8, Daphne.
Cool. Sometimes you have to pay £1.50 for information like that. Oh, man.
So there's your 8 competitors for the second annual Joshi Queen of Queens tournament. Please do check that out. There's plenty of good talent there, and some potentially really interesting matches depending on how the tournament all bears out. Now, as far as Femme Fatale are concerned, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag as far as that's concerned. We're gonna try before June 5th, which is the date of the Femme Fatale show. We're gonna try and have Lufisto on the show. I don't like to usually jinx people by giving away names before they come on the show, but we're gonna have Lufisto on the show coming up very, very soon, and we're going to have a chat to her also about her recent health worries as well, but also talking about what she's doing up there with Femme Fatales. It's really, really good stuff. I actually got the second DVD of that, Volume 2, this past week. So hopefully by the time we get to speak to her, we can do a little bit of a review of that as well. On that news, be aware as well, just some further show news. We should have a further show coming out at the end of this week. So if you're listening to this midweek, which hopefully should be the case, check back towards the end of the week. We're going to have another show coming up at the end of the week. We've got another guest sorted out for then. But before we get on to those, let's talk about the present and let's talk about Amazing Kong. She's going to be our guest tonight. She was on Diva Dirt a little while ago. She did an interview with Melanie. We've invited her back onto the Women of Wrestling podcast. Wanted to, go a little bit deeper into her career, talk about some other things as well.
And a lot's happened since that Diva Dirt interview as well.
Yeah, we've also got to head up some follow-up questions as well because since that interview happened, there've been a few new developments in the TNA stories and so on as far as that's concerned. So we're going to leave you here, and we're going to be back in about 45 seconds with Amazing Kong.
Hi.
And I do say Amazing Kong because, I guess that's the name that you're using now. Awesome Kong was a bit of a TNA-ism.
Awesome Kong was a bit of TNA-ism. I've had promoters use it, while I'm, I've been, gone from TNA. TNA hasn't said anything. I'm not, I'm just here and there. Either if you want me to be awesome, I'm awesome. You want me to be amazing, I'm amazing.
You can be both tonight if you wish.
There we go.
Well, we got you back on the show. You did an interview with Melanie a few weeks ago as well. We wanted to have you back on because we wanted to talk about some other things in your career as well. But unfortunately, just the way it's happened, there's been further news and stuff that's happened with regards to TNA. So we're going to have to start with a bit of TNA news again. First thing I want to bring up is something that's you've been vocal of, and other girls have as well, especially with Tara finishing up last night at the pay-per-view, and that's with regards to the discrepancies in pay between the guys and the girls in TNA, and I guess not only just in TNA, but in wrestling in general. I mean, we've always been quite vocal on the Women of Wrestling podcast that we are a niche podcast. Female wrestling is a niche product of wrestling. But given that the Knockouts consistently delivered some of the highest ratings for quarter hours on Impact, I mean, it's got to be... I can't imagine any other company that wouldn't at least acknowledge that and give the girls somewhat more of a fair deal.
I agree with you. I really agree with you. And it's actually more of people who run sites like yourself and everyone that reports on wrestling that recognize the discrepancy between pay between men versus women in wrestling and in any profession.
I mean, does that bother you as far as the TNA is concerned? Like, I suppose amongst the locker room you don't really talk about who's earning what just because it's sort of bad form. But was there any a kind of sort of underlying feeling amongst you all that maybe you weren't getting as much of a fair shake as the guys were?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I can't speak for everyone. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I can only speak for myself. I can't gripe about what the men were making because whatever they're making, they deserve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are deserving whatever they make and more. So and I congratulate them. They work very, very hard. And the women, we work just as hard, if not harder, because we're women. And just to be paid the same amount as our coworkers, whether they're male or female, is really all anyone can ask. But I mean, that's, people they're asking me about this, the pay, and, it wasn't the main thing or the biggest thing that led me to leave TNA,
No, of course. There was a certain other gentleman who certainly made it more difficult for you to stay. And the good news as far as
and that person didn't have anything. If anything, I wanted to stay because just to spite that person. So yeah, absolutely nothing to do with me leaving either. There's always a combination of things, things that affect other things, and just when the combo hits at a certain point, it's like dynamite. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And as I say, I mean, Tara, she's finishing up now. She came into, and she said in an interview recently that she came in and quite a lot less money in TNA than she would have got in WWE. Asked for a slight increase, got turned down. Is it not even sort of strange that you've got a company that's run by a woman that's not there's no certificate in this?
It's ironic, isn't it? It's very ironic.
I'm glad you said the word irony there, because I would have.
Yeah.
TNA's not a bad company. That's the thing, though. There are pros and cons to every aspect of, working anywhere. It was a joy to come to work. Everyone got along for the most part. If they didn't, they made sure they didn't bring anybody else into their drama. And most drama was settled, almost right away in an appropriate fashion. We had fun. We were on television. We were known. We traveled the world. Things were great. We got paid for our passion. You know what I mean? But sometimes in some, certain cases, sometimes you need a little bit more in order to secure your future. We only have X amount of time in this business, and you have to make every moment count. And that's all I'm trying to do, really, is make every moment count. It's not that, TNA is such a bad company, I can't work there. It's, just horrible over there. No.
Yeah, most of your time was positive. I mean, that's fair to say, right?
Yes, very positive. Look where I am today with the help of TNA. Of course, I did a lot of work myself, going to Japan and touring the States, but I have to admit, being on American on a major network, it helped amp my stock, and I'll always be grateful to TNA for that. TNA is like home for me. So, but, wrestling business is wrestling business, and business is business, and I must try everything I can to ensure that I have a bright future and a comfortable future when I retire.
Absolutely. And as far as that other guy, we don't even need to name him if you don't want.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
That's he since you last spoke to Diva Dirt, he was fired. I think you were on just after you'd been ambushed in the Cowhead show, and since that, TNA actually did show a bit of a spine and said that he was fired. Any comments on that?
No. Right after that ambush incident, I went right back to packing. I had stuff to do. I couldn't be. He's not significant enough to be upset about or over. You know what I mean? He's not a coworker of mine anymore. He's part of the media now that chooses to talk about me. So let him. I can't. It's like the Johnny Carson law. You know what I mean? There's not much I can do about it. So I'm not going to try or get upset about it because I'm in a happy place right now, and I will not let that man take that away from me. not for
anything. It
anything.
did seem a bit weird that it was pretty much sort of forgotten, over and done with. You were moving on with your life. You were moving house, you had other bookings and things like that, and all of a sudden it just gets brought back up months after the incident took place. It just seems like it was stewing, I suppose, and it seems like you were barely interested in the whole situation, which is pretty much fair enough.
Well, yeah, which I found hilarious because that show had been trying to get me on there for months, ever since that incident. Months. I mean, they went through everybody I knew to get me on that show. And I just said, no, I'm not that. I'm not about that kind of publicity. And, it's just, let's just let it go away. And they just would not give up, and they went through someone who has been really great to me, really supportive of me since I left TNA, and they just duped him, poor guy, into just talking me into it. And when somebody's been real nice to you and has really looked out for you, it's hard to say no, so against my better judgment, I said, okay, I'll do this interview. And, what happened. And I said, well, see, I told you that's why I didn't want to do it. But, what can you do? But I found it hilarious because they've been trying for 4 months, and I haven't given him a second thought. And so if you're stewing, like you said, you're stewing about that for 4 months, and then to get on there and just to say just the dumbest things. You have 4 months to prepare to say what you said, and that's what you say. That's sad and hilarious and then you get fired over it. That's even more funny. So, good on him for making me laugh so hard.
The original plan apparently was for you to actually be in the studio, was it not?
Yeah, thank God that didn't happen. Lord. Thank God seriously, they are blessed. God bless them that I was too busy packing to come into that studio. God, angel touched them on the shoulder, because it would have been a really bad situation.
Up to your elbows in cardboard boxes instead.
No, yeah, or cardboard boxes or box cutters. One of the two.
Oh, fun.
All right. One other question with regards to TNA before we move on to talk about some of the rest of your career, and that's the fact that TNA recently have signed up this girl. She's a Team 3D graduate called Betsy Ruth.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk, and I'm sure she hasn't made this comparison. I'm sure you haven't made this comparison. But there's been a lot of talk that they're trying to find a Kong replacement. So they've hired this Betsy Ruth, who's a bigger girl, with the implication that she can fill your role as far as that's concerned. I don't know if you know her, but I do
know her. I know Betsy. We just as of late, we worked together in various places, and she's a lovely person, lovely girl. And she has great skill. And I don't know about them trying to, just because we are, of the same, build, and we do a lot of the same moves. I don't know if, you could do that comparison with a lot of the girls who are, thinner and smaller and, blonde or, brunette. You could do that with a lot of girls on TNA's roster or any roster in wrestling. It's just that there aren't that many of us full-figured wrestlers around, so I guess that's why people are quick to, compare. I think she's going to do a phenomenal job, and I hope that the writers give her, great support.
Do you think that there's a possibility, because we were speaking about this earlier before you came on, with TNA possibly showing rumours that they're interested in Reign of On Tash. We had a concern that these were girls who were sort of being signed up, and because there's no sort of real time to maybe sort of get them up to speed, they're just going to be thrust out onto TV, and they either sink or swim to a certain extent. Is there any concern that maybe they might do this with Betsy Ruth, and like we're saying, there might be these comparisons, and whether fairly or unfairly, people might make these comparisons, and through no fault of her own, Betsy Ruth may possibly sort of tank?
Well, I hope she doesn't.
I hope she doesn't either, but...
I hope they don't. It's real hard. It's like that show... when people make comparison, it does set people up for failure. I don't know if people remember the show Coupling. You have the UK version in the UK, which was the original. Version. Right, it was the original. But when Coupling came to America, people kept, comparing it to Friends. It's the new Friends, and and that killed the show. It was a funny show, but no, everyone snubbed it because nothing can compare to Friends. You know what I'm saying? And it killed a great funny show, and no one ever gave it a chance because how it was promoted or preconceived. And that prejudice was just unfair, and I hope she doesn't get that. You know what I mean? I really hope she doesn't get that.
So I guess the advice is for people is to, if they're watching Betsy Ruth, is to go in there with an open mind and sort of look at Betsy Ruth as opposed to saying, this is maybe a replacement for Kong, and just sort of judge her on what she does as opposed to comparing it to what you did.
Yeah, judge her for what she does, because from what I understand, if I ever want to come back to TNA, I am welcome to it. That's what they say. That doesn't mean that's what they mean. But, that's what the office said. And, I'm right now am putting my, ducks in line to prepare for whatever it is I'm going to do next. So, hopefully they have her character, not as an imitation of Kong, but as what she's been doing and what she's been cultivating and, nurturing. And if I were to ever come back, then maybe we can have an awesome, feud or tag. I don't know. But yeah, we are two different entities, and I'm pretty sure they will showcase her strengths. And I believe her strengths are, you can see them different from mine.
Well, we were mulling over a theory a few days ago between Betsy Ruth and yourself where possibly there might be some kind of face-to-face situation, but we'll discuss that at another time. We might hold it to ourselves just in case it ever happens.
Fair enough. Just interesting talking about the fact about judging Betsy Ruth as herself and not as the new Amazing Kong, because you've kind of been on the other end of that yourself back when you started your career, when you debuted and you got the name Amazing Kong. It was kind of because you were the second Aja Kong in Japan. Your name was given to you as a sort of follow on to that. You would have felt that pressure to perform up to Aja Kong's level that Betsy Ruth's going to probably feel as far as to perform in Awesome Kong's level. Take us back to the beginning of your career and how you got started as far as getting your debut in Japan.
Well, people don't know that, but my my career is like a joke gone too far. I woke up one day and said I was going to be a wrestler because I wanted to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I'd have a better chance of meeting him if I could get backstage as a wrestler. So that was my whole theory and my crazy psycho fan, plan. And then once I really, got into wrestling, plans changed. But I went out for Tough Enough and got onto the audition show.
Which Tough Enough was that?
Tough Enough 2.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know anything about wrestling except for what I've seen on TV. So they had a whole bunch of lingo that I just didn't understand. I was lost in the crowd because I just didn't understand any of it. I just knew that I wanted to do a stunner one day and tag with The Rock, and that's all I knew about wrestling. I had stars in my eyes. I was a really big fan. So once season 2 went on and I wasn't on there, I wasn't picked to go on. I said, okay, I have to find another plan. So I went on another reality show called The Body Challenge, which, the premise, it was like a predecessor for The Biggest Loser. That's a show in the United States. And that show helped me, reach my dream of becoming a wrestler. They gave me a trainer to help me get in shape. They sent me to a wrestling school of Hard Knocks in San Bernardino, California, Jesse Hernandez. And, I trained there. They knew I loved everything about wrestling and all the superstars, so they set up a meeting with Joni Laura, China. She was training at the New Japan Dojo at the time. So they set up a surprise meeting where I got to meet her and talk to her and, get her autograph and things like that. And the owners there, Mr. Inoki, and his daughter and her husband, Simon Inoki, invited me back anytime I wanted to come back and train. And so I did, and a few weeks later, All Japan Women had an audition there to come and try out because they were looking for, a gaijin, a foreigner, to come out, and boost the company up. So I went out and I couldn't do anything. It was actually between me and Shelly Martinez, Salinas from TNA. And she was much more experienced than I. All I knew how to do was roll around, take a bump. That's all I knew. But since I was so raw and I was this, big scary chick, they liked that more because I wasn't spoiled by the American style. So they plucked me from America and brought me to Japan and decided to teach me, from scratch their style, their way. And
so that was about 2002, was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and you went out then to train in Japan. Did you train there long before you made your debut?
No, they booked me for a main event straight from from the dojo.
Whoa.
My second day there was it my second or third day there? My third day there was when I had my match. I got to train one day before I main evented their show in Kawasaki.
That's very rare because you hear about having to train over there for years and maybe just do opening matches and things like that, and you get thrust into the main event straight away. As far as pressure was concerned, how did it sort of affect you?
I felt it was do or die. I felt that if I didn't if I didn't do what I had to do, then there was no coming back. So there was no option to fail. I had to make sure that I performed as expected and no ifs, ands, or buts. If this is what I wanted, I had to go out. It was up to me to go out there and get it.
And so how did it feel then? When you came back, how did you feel about it? What kind of feedback did you get?
I got good feedback. People were interested. They were intrigued. They wanted to know more. So that was good. And then I got booked for another tour again, a month and a half later to come back for another main event in a cage, which was again going to be like my third match ever.
What a baptism of fire.
Things were moving very fast, and I just had to keep up. My career was moving faster than I was learning. I just had to keep up with it. It was mine to lose. It was my A to lose. So all I had to do was just hold on to my own coattails and just do the work, and things were taking care of themselves.
It's bizarre. And it'd be around this time then that would be Mr. Matsunaga, who would have been the All Japan Woman owner. He would have been the guy who gave you your wrestling name. Is that right?
Yes. It was the grandson, Masa Matsunaga, who came and plucked me from America and brought me over and was my mentor. Even though we were the same age, he knew, he had been born and bred in wrestling. And he just grew me up in wrestling. Was a youngling coming in, wet behind the ears, green. And he brought me up. He raised me as far as wrestling. So all of the girls did. Everyone in Japan did. All the companies. Not just All Japan Women, but, Gaia, JWP, Neo, every company that booked me with one of their girls and, learn my craft, they all helped, and they were all very patient and very kind, even though they made sure I did the work. If I hadn't put in the work, they wouldn't have been so patient and kind.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you is how well you were accepted over there. But it sounds that what you're telling me is that as long as you proved that you wanted to work to get better, they were happy to help you.
Yes, as long as if I got up and was there 10 minutes before, things started, I was there scrubbing floors with all the other young girls. I didn't have to, mind you. A lot of times they tell me, oh, it's okay, go sit down. And that was, one, order or command that I would, neglect to follow is, not to help out. Even if I just took a chair to the truck, I would always make sure they saw me doing something and helping out, not just sitting on the sideline because, I was a foreigner and I didn't speak the language and, You know, sometimes I got in people's way and they moved a little bit slower because of me, but they knew I wanted to help. And once I learned something, I learned it, and, you know, I didn't slow people up anymore. And it got to a point where I was integrated in, you know, and brought up and treated just like all the young girls, no different. And so that is when I was my happiest, is when I was treated the worst, because I knew that was finally accepted.
How did you take the cultural difference? And obviously the language barrier is a massive one. What about the cultural difference between the two? Did you find that difficult? Some people just can't handle it.
I did find it difficult at first, but they're so the Japanese culture can be so hospitable, you know.
Of the girls you worked with, who would have helped you most then? Who would you point at as being the people who helped you develop as your wrestling ability?
Mai Kawakumiko was like my wrestling mom. She made sure, you know, everything inside and outside the ring was taken care of for me, and that I understood things. And she took the trouble to try to learn English and communicate with me, and just make sure that I understood and got things, and I wasn't, you know, lonely or homesick or anything like that. Nanae Takahashi was my biggest critic, and I say that with love because she wanted me to get better, because she wanted to make sure that there was somebody out there at their best, at their A game, for her to compete against. And so through all her criticisms, I had to step it up every time to make sure that, you know, if we were going at it and you know, we beat one another, we beat the best.
Mm-hmm. Be around that time as well that you would have met Ayako Hamada for the first time, I'd imagine, would be, what, around 2003, 2004?
Yes. I met Hamada for the first time at All Japan Women's 35th anniversary show at Yokohama Arena, and she had a phenomenal match with Momo Nakanishi. And I was a big Momo fan, even though I was feuding with her at the time, because my sister's kids loved Momo Nakanishi. They used to tell me all the time that, you know, I couldn't beat her because she was Momo Nakanishi. And so I saw the match with her, Momo and Hamada, and it was taken aback. And I said that's how I would like to work, you know, someday. I was still only like a year and a half, 2 years into being a wrestler, but I wanted to work just like them. And less than a year later, I got my chance to work a program with Hamada, and we had one of the best matches, or the most memorable matches I've ever had in my life, in Osaka. And that was a...
Was that the match where you beat her for the title?
No, actually, I think she got me on that one, but I got her for the title at Korakuen Hall, actually. There
you go. Now, here's an interesting question, and I've wanted to ask you this for a while, and that's with regards to the fact that obviously in Joshi you were you were pushed as this monster heel, and you ended up actually teaming up as well with Aja Kong as Double Kong, and you know all the success that you had with that as these monsters. And then
here it comes.
And then Hustle came along.
Here it comes.
and you ended up in Hustle with Aja Kong, and you couldn't get a more 180-degree diametrically opposed character to what you played in Hustle. Where you and Aja Kong, you were Margaret, she was Erica, and I'm not even sure how to...
Seek these pictures out, people!
I'm not even sure how to describe Erica and Margaret, but they were girly girls, they were pink and yellow, they had... You know,
it was skipping, smiling, happy.
Yeah. Talk to me about Hustle. I need to know about Hustle.
Well, Hustle, you know, it's very campy.
Yes.
Hustle.
You don't say.
It's a very campy promotion. Lots of fun. You know, good wrestling, you know, as far as the skills, because of the people involved. You got top-notch people involved over there at Hustle. And it was just a blast. At first, when they showed me they did a sketch of what I'd be wearing, I said, that's a tutu. You want to put Kong in a tutu? That's insane. And I didn't get it at first, but I got the money. So
that was
the
the
money.
question. Yeah, that was the question.
I bet.
I was going to say, like, did you ever have any concerns about the fact that you were undermining your amazing Kong character by being Margaret? But at the end of the day, you got paid very, very well for this.
Very, very well. Hustle, you just don't care. You'd push a rubber ball with your nose with hustle money. No, but it turned out to be really, really, really fun. And I started to, because, most people don't know that probably out of Awesome Kong and Margaret, the real me is closer to Margaret. I like to develop her, every hustle, was like, how can I give Margaret? Cause she didn't really talk, either. She had those goofy expressions that were, as expressive as Kong, but, like you say, a 180. And she was just this, sweet, lovable character who didn't know her own strength.
No, seriously, you do need to check this out, people. If you're listening to this and you've never had a chance to see it, just check it out to see. What about Aja Kong? Was she the same? Did she just say, oh, well, I'm getting really well paid for this, I'm just going to have fun?
Yeah, and she was it was so fun. It got to be, a guilty pleasure. You got to be very indulgent because you didn't have to be so serious because it was so campy and just plain fun. You just go out there and just, make the people have a really, really good, happy time and just entertain people. It was a blast. At first I was very, cautious. I'm like, oh, this is going against everything I've really learned about wrestling. You know what I mean? Yeah. But once you get involved, I got to wrestle the likes of, Team 3D. And Matt Morgan and Mark Jindrak. We had a 3-way tag and, Margaret and Erica were the tag champions and, we got beat by Team 3D. That was how, someone was able to take our belts away. Team 3D had to come in and take our belts away. So what better way, I lived my dream during that match. When Team 3D was coming down, Bubba and Devon coming down to the stage, I'm just in the middle of the ring going, I have the best seat ever. This is awesome. This is why I got into wrestling. This is so freaking cool. And then, after a match, I'm like, ow, but still, it was just really cool to take a 3D is just, being put through a table and just go, oh my gosh, I just got put through a table by, Team 3D. It was amazing. It was one of the moments why I got into wrestling, what I aspired to experience.
I don't know about you, but I'm sitting here with a big smile on my face listening to you, enthuse about your time as Margaret. Are you secretly a bit disappointed that you can't still do that?
At times, yeah. Like when I went back to Japan, I asked around, I'm like, are they still doing hustle? Are they still bringing, old characters in? But, it's run by a new, promotion. It's run by all new management. So, if they ever asked me again, I would totally do it in a heartbeat.
My brain's just melted with the awesomeness of this part of the conversation.
We ask the questions that no one else asks, ladies and gentlemen.
Women of Wrestling podcast. Oh, yeah.
Moving on, though, you wrestled around the world, and the first time that we first got to see you in person was when you came over to Britain. You wrestled a couple of matches over here. First match you debut in Britain would have been a 4-way match in Colchester for RQW, which also featured, if I remember rightly now, Wesna was in there, Jezebel Eden Black was in there, and Jetta was in there. You won the match, but you ended up going to the hospital directly after the match. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I had some serious abdominal pains, and I couldn't tell whether it was from a really stiff splash I had done, or if it was gas. So, I could tell. I just knew I was in pain, and that something was wrong, and it needed to be remedied right away, because, I was, like, dying in the bathroom and screaming for help, and I forget who overheard me. Someone overheard me and went and got help, and they got me out of the bathroom and into the office, and I didn't know this about the UK, and for pain, they give you guys gas, the nitro.
Oh, the gas and air thing, yeah.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Isn't it? Isn't it just?
So, it took the pain away. Till this day, I really don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but it was a sharp, sharp pain, but turned out to be okay. So it was either, a bad splash or, bad piece of cheese.
Well, Stu was there at that RQW show. I wasn't. I saw you for the first time the next day at Chick Fight 9 in Orpington in Kent. We'd heard a little bit about the fact that you'd had to go to hospital the night before, and then coupled up with Sweet Soraya also having to go to the hospital that night as well. Because of what was it against Stu? It was kneecap, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Soraya.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's the night she tore her knee ligament.
Yeah, she sliced it on.
We were all at the hospital that night. It was a really merry party at the hospital that night.
They must have wondered what the hell was going on.
Seriously, it was a bunch of us there. We're like, hey, what's that? What happened to you? Oh, this and this and this. And it's like, oh, see.
Well, we saw you the next night. We were standing in that queue, knowing that Soraya was definitely out. You were there, but you might have been hurt, and we're thinking this tournament, which is what it was. We were thinking, what's going to happen at this tournament? And as it turned out, you came out with you couldn't even tell that you'd been to the hospital the night before.
Yeah, it worked itself out.
Like, if we talk about that tournament, I think a lot of people probably remember that show particularly for the 45-minute draw between Wesner and cheerleader Melissa. But then I think what's kind of overlooked is the fact that you had a tremendous match with Eden Black in the finals of that tournament as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was Blue Nikita as well. We had some we had fun that day. Just out there, it was a new experience for me. Being over there, I believe it was my first trip over to the UK, and it was a black. It was everything I experienced was just, I just savored it.
What did you think about it all then? What did you get a chance to do when you were over here, apart from visit our fine hospitals? We went out. We went out to. We did the town. I think the next day or that night, and we were out until the morn. We tried to get into a place called the Ice Bar, which is made of all ice. But we just roamed the night, and we saw some very interesting characters throughout the night. And actually, there's some lost footage of me doing a newscaster commentary on all the happenings of the night, but it was on my Japanese K-Type phone, which with the power you guys have over there shorted it out. So I don't think we're ever going to see that footage, which is actually quite hilarious. But mainly I tried to go and see everything having to do with Harry Potter, but I never got a chance to do that. I suppose, as far as Chick Fight is concerned, you were the final sort of Chick Fight tournament winner. There'd been a sort of long line of big names who'd won that tournament in the past, and you were added to it. As far as that was concerned, did it sort of resonate with you about the actual tournament itself? Yeah,
it was a big honor just to be a part of it. I mean, all the most respected names in wrestling, have, wrestled a Chick Fight match, one way or the other. And to have won the tournament was definitely a milestone in my career. It's something that people, are going to mention, when they talk about me or reference me, for here and forevermore.
I guess, one of the things we noticed is, as far as the poster was concerned, it was you on the poster, because you were making a lot of a sort of big name for yourself, as far as being on the Western world, I suppose, because you'd come back to America at that time. What happened from you going from Japan to maybe going back to America?
Things in Japan started to slow down tremendously, and it got to the point where, just like, with me getting to a point in TNA, it was like, I can stay here and I could probably, it will be really hard and difficult, and I'm not going to have anything to fall back on or anything in the future. So it got to a point where it's, this is where you have to make a change. Yes. Okay. So, I was very comfortable, in Japan, and things are going along steadily. So, to move to the States, uproot myself, was a risk, but I had to take that risk, because if I wanted more, I had to risk more. You know what I mean? So I didn't know what was going to happen when I came back to the States. I said to myself, I'm just going to pack up, do these last 3 months of shows, and finish my lease out in my apartment. Go back to the States. We had just bought a house for my mother in Los Angeles. And I said, I'm just going to, go home, visit with the fam for a bit, take some bookings in the U.S., make sure people know who I am in the U.S., and then after that, approach, a major promotion. But things, again, my career moved faster than I did. And next thing I know, I was over there at TNA.
I got a question to ask you, actually, with regards to the name. We mentioned earlier on the change from Amazing Kong to Awesome Kong. I need to know this for my own benefit, because there's a friend of mine who did the ring announcing at the Chick Fight 9 show in Orpington, and at one point he accidentally introduced you or referenced you from the ring as Awesome Kong. And everybody went, ooh, that's wrong, and he did a retake. And then literally 3 weeks later, you're in TNA using the name Awesome Kong. Did you hear that at the time?
No. Awesome Kong wasn't my idea. I fought tooth and nail to keep Amazing Kong, actually. Like, it was like going back and forth with the officer. I want to be amazing. And it was Jeff Jarrett, actually, who went on this campaign to sell me on Awesome Kong, and I said, fine, okay, I want to be a team player. Okay, I'll be Awesome Kong for you.
Never mind.
No, he's just a good prophet.
That's true. He is a prophet. Well done, Matt. Okay, well, let's move on then to some of the stuff you did in the States apart from TNA. That's, you also have guested in Shimmer pretty much from near the beginning. I think you probably started in the debut on Volume 5, would it have been?
Yeah, it was 5.
Volume 5, as far as I remember, that was you had a match with Nikki Rocks. That was your first Shimmer match. It was really, really good. And I mean, what a way to introduce yourself to the Shimmer fans as well.
Yeah, thank goodness I was with Nikki, because Nikki and I are rather close. And since we're rather close, we tend to, beat the hell out of each other when we're in the ring. Because we know it's in sport. And afterwards, we'll, go get a bite, or a drink. Right. So when I'm in the ring with her, all's fair, because I know, she knows the sport.
It was one of those matches that was really great for both of you, because number one, it introduced you as this, monster killer, and on the other hand, it really helped put Nikki over the top as far as moving her up from the start of the card to, further up the card, because she showed such a great match against you. It's one of those things where everybody comes out as a winner.
Well, I think the thing was that people, when they heard about the match or when they saw the match start, thought that Nikki was just going to be cannon fodder, and as it turned out, it wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was a pretty good back and forth match. Yeah.
I was just going to mention another match that you had in Shimmer as well. Just get a quick thought on. That was the one you had with Mischief on Volume 9. I know you've had a bunch of matches with Mischief for the NWA title and back and forward, these matches and the other matches. I think that was also the time where you pulled out the torture rack where you made her kick her own head. Was that the first time that you managed to do that? Because I know you did it in TNA once against Christy as well.
Yeah, that was the first time that I ever, made someone kick themselves. With the torture I was with Mischief. She's just, she's just too bendy to pass up. You know what I mean?
That was absolutely horrible when I saw it the first time. It was like, ah!
Why are you kicking yourself?
Yes.
That's the kind of thing that a kid does. Why are you punching yourself in the face? Why are you doing this? As you sort of grab them and smack their own face with their hand.
Yeah, every time I see that, that's the commentary people hear. Why are you kicking yourself?
So what's been your favorite match in Shimmer so far, as far as your run is concerned?
Well, I have to say it was that match. My grandmother was there in the audience, and she got to see that match. I got one of my favorite photos of all time, which is me drop kicking Mischief with a chair. It was, in the feedback from it was phenomenal and very appreciative. Like my grandmother had never saw me live, and she just couldn't get over how big I was, but yet swift. And she, I always say, you might be 300 pounds, but you move like a $1.05. I can't believe it.
I think that's one of the things that people sort of don't expect from you, because you look at the outfit that you've got, which is very grand, very leathery, and makes you probably look probably more sort of imposing as well. And then you're moving all over the shop as well. I think that people sort of, when they see you for the first time, just can't get their heads around that how sort of incongruous it is. They sort of expect you to be maybe a little bit more sort of, I don't know, sort of static, and people doing things around you as opposed to you doing things around them.
Well, yes. Well, in Japan, there are girls my size, and they are fast as well. So I had to learn to keep up. And that's where my cadence comes from, is, working with girls of my size in Japan and them being just as fast, if not faster, and me always having to keep up.
Another girl who was big in Japan for a little while, she got on really well over there. Another girl that you wrestled in Shimmer as well was Wesna.
Wesna.
I need to mention this just because this is such a personal thing that I remember, was when she gave you a German suplex, and literally, if you watch the video, I jump out of my chair. It's just one of those wonderful things. Any thoughts on Wesna? I mean, she's had to unfortunately retire recently.
Wesna retired?
Yeah, she's had to unfortunately hang him up. She's got all sorts of problems with her hip, and she's given up, unfortunately.
Well, I'm sad to hear that, because I was actually hoping you would ask me about Wesna Pusik, who I think is an exemplary performer. She's the whole package. She has it all. She has looks, she's fit, she has skill, she has smarts, brains, bronze, strength. I can't say much more about her. She is just the prime competitor. She's somebody to beat. If you've gotten over on Wesna Music, you've beaten somebody. You know what I mean? She's almost flawless. She's flawless. The girl, I can't speak highly enough about her.
I've seen her loads of times in Shimmer and also across the UK as well, Chick Fight and various other promotions. That's a girl I've never seen give less than 100%. I mean, she is just phenomenal to watch.
More recently in Shimmer, they've had some Joshi additions as well. We had Kurihara, Matsumoto, Nakagawa, and Ohata all make their debuts on the last set of tapings. Have you come across any of those during your time in Japan?
Yes, when Kurihara, when she debuted in Japan, I had a few matches against her, and she's come a long way. She was, really good all from the start, though. Very athletic, very charismatic girl, and we had some fantastic intergender tag matches for 0-1 out there. So she's going to go a long way. She has a bright future ahead of her.
Excellent. You went back to Japan yourself recently as well. You worked the Neo anniversary show earlier this month, isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct. I tagged with Nanae Takahashi, one of my most formidable adversaries, and we tagged against Kyoko and Vanessa the Mountain.
How did that go? Was it good to be back home, sort of?
It really was. We picked up like right where we left off as far as, the fans, they evidently hadn't forgot about me. And they remember exactly, what it is I used to do and how it was I used to come to the ring and present myself.
How long of a gap was it between trips, between, you going there most recently and the time before?
About a year and a half, about 18 months.
Okay.
But at least they remembered everything, yeah.
Yes, it was a very warm reception and a lot of, welcome backs. I forgot about how the fans there are very giving, and I came home with many gifts. I forgot all about how that's a tradition out there, so I was very happy.
Oh, wow. The whole thing would have been tempered a little bit, though, with the news that Neo said that they were going to close up shop at the end of the year. Did you know about that when you went over, that was going to be the start of the end as far as Neo was concerned?
I had heard a rumor, and, rumors are rumors, but it did come to a head. I don't know the reasons why the girls decided to retire at the end of the year. And it was actually Kyoko's last match there with the company. She is now freelance, from what I understand, and she'll probably participate in some shows with the company, but for the most part, won't have a main affiliation with them.
Oh, I see.
So it was heartbreaking because it's one less form for women to perform in our sport.
There's not a lot left as far as the Joshi promotions over there is concerned. There's a lot of like training school type things like Sendai Girls and Oz Academy and things, but as far as like a big Japanese girls promotion, there's probably only maybe JWP left. Is that it, would you think?
Yeah, from what I understand, JWP is, the only one that's still running consistently and, more than, a few times a month. Every other promotion is just running a couple of shows per month, which, as it's not going to generate, enough income per girl to, stay dedicated.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
Another place that you returned to recently was Ring of Honor. You went back to Ring of Honor. You had a big match with Sarah Del Rey about a week or so ago in New York, wasn't it?
Yes. Had a fantastic match. A very energetic crowd. I think the crowd entertained me more than I them.
I heard there was a few chants.
Yeah, there were a few chants that I had. I'm pretty sure people could see me. They could visibly see me chuckle because I couldn't hold it in because they were so adamant, and you could just tell that they really believed in what they were chanting, and it was overwhelming to get that kind of support from the wrestling community.
You got a standing ovation, I believe, as well.
Yes, that standing ovation, I believe, was more, for other factors, not just the match. The match was a good, solid match. I was very happy with it, even though Sarah got me with the golden elbow. But
it was a show support for Amazing Kong as much as anything else, yeah?
It was a show of support for women's wrestling, for Amazing Kong, for standing up for what one believes in. And that's how I took it. I can't take a poll, or I guess I could, but I didn't poll everybody on that night on why they stood up and chanted. But if you were there and you got the vibe, you understood that it was more to it than just the wrestling match. I think it was just all the frenzy that's going on that surrounded it.
That's right. Our friend Stephen from Diva Dirt was actually there, and he said it was a really, really special feeling in the crowd. So yeah, I think it was a really special moment for everybody that was there. What about future with Ring of Honor as far as that's concerned?
Yes, we just talked this week, and July 23rd and 24th, I will be back with ROH, where they're running it in whichever cities they're running on July 23rd and 24th, and I'm very excited about that. Eager to get my dibs back in on Sarah Del Rey.
Talking about future bookings as well, you got June 26th. We were talking about it before you came on the show. WSU have got their show in Union City, New Jersey. You're facing Rain, which I think Stu's quite excited about.
Yes, Rain, a fellow Shimmer alumni. We're gonna go square at it in the center of the squared circle that day, and it's gonna be hot. You know, Rain is she's very slippery and very conniving, and she's very sinister.
Rain's been doing her thing in Mexico as well. Is it any possibility of you doing something like that?
There is. It's something I've considered. It's something I weighed back and forth, and it's been discussed. And perhaps in the fall or in the winter, you'll see me debut on one of the companies down there.
Interesting.
You got to work on your Hurricane Ranas, though.
Got to work on my Hurricane Ranas, that's right.
And your arm drags.
And my arm drags, and my planches, and all good stuff.
There you go.
Excellent. Okay, well let's try and wrap this up a little bit now, and I just want to take it back to something that you said right at the beginning when you talked about how you got into the business, and you talked about how it was a joke gone too far because all you wanted to do was meet Steve Austin. You actually finally did get the chance to do that recently at the Cauliflower Alley Club. Tell us the story from your point of view.
Well, I had been watching him from across the room all night, more like stalking him, and all my friends had urged me to come up to him and talk to him. And I didn't feel right at the time because, watching him, he couldn't walk 5 feet without somebody interrupting him, and all he wanted to do was either go to the bathroom or get a drink. And I said, well, when the time is right, I will, approach him, and the moment will be all about me. And because, I worked, for a long time for this moment. And before I even got to introduce myself to him, he actually gave me a nudge on my arm and waved and said hello to me, which I found amazing. I almost fainted right then and there in some gentleman's lap because I couldn't believe that I was getting attention, any kind of attention, from Stone Cold Steve Austin. And after the banquet, when everybody started to disperse, I, didn't want to be presumptuous that, he said hello to me, because he knew who I was. Maybe he just said hello to me because, I'm a fine piece of thing, I don't know. So I went up to him and introduced myself, and he told me, I know who you are. I've seen your work. I watch your work. You're a hell of a worker. And he said so many complimentary things about me that, I sat there or stood there with my mouth just wide open, literally just wide open. And it was amazing how that moment really was about me at the time, because he had nothing but great things to say. I had dreamt about that moment for years, and it was 10,000 times better than I had imagined. I couldn't dream of meeting Steve Austin and him knowing who I was. That to me was just something I didn't even dare to dream about. It was just remarkable. Later on, a few days later, he made comments on his Twitter that he thought the WWE should hire me, and that endorsement meant so much to me that, even if I don't have the opportunity to work for them, just knowing that someone of his stature believes that I should really is enough for me.
Does that sort of make a difference, when somebody who you hold in such a high regard like that says complimentary things about you? Is that something which you hold on to a lot more than when maybe other people say it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, when you've thought about this person, I really sound like a crazy person now. But no, seriously, when you have obsessed about this person, I mean, I've watched him for years. I've, I never really styled my style of wrestling after him, but as far as wanting to be someone of his stature, yes. I mean, I wanted to be somebody in wrestling that people recognized and understood and respected and admired and enjoyed as much as someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And for him to have seen my work, like my work, just made every bump I've ever taken worth it. It just validated everything I've ever went through. It just made it all worth it in that moment. If I ever had any doubts about if I ever should have gotten to wrestling, what my wrestling future holds, well, am I ever really going to be, am I ever going to be secure in my future in this business? It doesn't matter as much as it did before because of what he said and, how he said it and how nice and gracious he was. And just watching him, even after that, this man, he stood there and he talked to everyone who talked to him. And it wasn't just like a nod, a yes, and then, move on. He was very invested in everyone who had something to say to him. And that was so admirable, and it's something I aspire to be like. He has the patience of a god, and he's just a remarkable person.
Are you tweeting him?
No.
Are you following his tweets, actually?
I do follow his tweets. After he said the wonderful things he said to me on Twitter, I did thank him for it. I am trying not to, bombard him with tweets because it seems like my fans are doing that for me. So I feel sorry for the poor chap because, since our meeting and since it's been so publicized, people are appealing to him, on my behalf, and I'm pretty sure it's wearing him out. So I feel bad right about now.
It's funny, they always say you shouldn't meet your idols, and it's really nice to know that in this case you met your idol and he didn't disappoint you in one single way.
No, he didn't. I mean, he's one of the big three. The big three that I wanted to meet in wrestling was The Rock. I still haven't met him yet. Stone Cold Steve Austin I have, and Mick Foley. And I got the pleasure of working with Mick Foley, and actually Booker T as well. People don't know this, but I broke down like a little, school girl seeing the Beatles for the first time when I met Booker T. I used to aspire to be like, his sister on, WWE or whatever. But working with Mick and Booker T side by side, in TNA was a dream come true. We went overseas once and we had, in Germany, I think it was, Team 3, Booker T, Scott Steiner, and then later on came a run-in with Kurt Angle and Mick Foley, and Charmel was there as well. So working alongside all these great people in this match, and it was a match where I actually got to body slam Booker T, and it just doesn't get any better than that. I'm going to have that memory for the rest of my life, and this is me, a fan, that loved wrestling so much that I became a wrestler, and to have met and befriended Mick Foley and Booker T, and to have met Stone Cold Steve Austin, and to get compliments from the likes of Jim Ross and people like that. It's just, it's overwhelming. It gives you a happiness that's just overwhelming, and my cup has runneth over.
Well, you got all those great memories. You got any more dreams?
Oh, I do have dreams. I'm sorting them out right now because I don't know what more to ask for, because I do feel so humbled and so blessed that I have had these experiences and these memories. And right now I think I'm more focused on how to take this passion of mine of wrestling and make sure that it provides a secure future, and that I can retire well.
Absolutely. Well, look, I mean, I think it's fair to say, you've been really approachable as far as we've been concerned, and I want to thank you for giving this time to talk to the people listening to the podcast. Before we finish up, I just want to give you a chance, because I know you do a lot of work as far as charities are concerned and outreach programs and things like that. Give us a rundown of what you're involved with, and if there's any way that people can help you.
Right now, I have a nonprofit organization called Fountains for Youth. I've relocated it to the Boston area. I've only been in the Boston area for 2 weeks now, so right now I'm on the hunt for a facility. One of the programs in Fountains for Youth is STAR, S-T-A-H-R, which stands for Somebody's Talking About High Risks. It's a peer-to-peer program where we would take peers, teach them what they're at risk for, teen pregnancy, drugs, X, Y, and Z, gang violence, all of that, and teach them what they're at risk for and how to prevent it. And with that information, they would create and produce their own PSA that they would present to a group of their peers. And so, yes, it's a peer-to-peer program. I'm also doing a youth pageant called Little Miss Special, and it's a pageant for children with disabilities, because I believe that every child should, have the opportunity to feel like a princess, and not just the children, their mothers as well, because let's face it, most of these beauty pageants for children are mainly for like the mothers, so every mother should be able to feel that, way.
Okay, well that's beautiful, and good luck with all of that. As far as people keeping in touch with what you're up to, your Twitter is the best way, I guess?
My Twitter, yes. www.twitter.com/AwesomeKong is my Twitter. And I'll be updating on a regular basis, and people will know what's going on with me.
Excellent. Well, I'll say thank you once again. We'll let you go. We may have you on again. I hope we have you on again to talk to. Hopefully when you got some big news to share with us. I would love that. Until then, we will be back with another podcast very, very